But China was, yeah, that was a big learning curve, and it was fascinating. And there's obviously, I mean, there's such a history. And particularly with this play, I mean, 4th century BC, and I mean, that's ancient.
Learning about the Orphan of Zhao, people who lived 2,000 years ago, and it's part of Chinese history, and it's performed as often as something like Romeo and Juliet would be performed over here.
There's something in the way that I think James has written it it's a piece of poetry. Both of the shows are incredibly violent, and there's lots of blood in both. But the blood in Boris is I mean, it's not actual, it's prop, but yes, there's blood. You see people bleed, and in Zhao, there's a more sort of beautiful motif of red petals that fall from the sky down onto the stage every time there's a death. We're supposed to be reminded as the audience how many people have sacrificed their lives for the Orphan of Zhao, and for good, and, you know, despite evil. I think that those red petals do that in the same way that when we wear a red poppy, I don't know, we think of those honourable, noble deaths. We're reminded of the blood without having to see the blood.
The role which I play in The Orphan of Zhao is the ghost of Dr. Cheng's son, and I was very fortunate to do some puppetry. I'd never done any puppetry before. We found ourselves watching loads and loads of videos of dogs, and then you find yourself going into the parks and looking at dogs in strange ways and going, oh, and you see, I remember going into the park and seeing my hands going a specific way, and the dog owner going, what the heck is that person doing? Learning a new skill, but in terms of also listening, you're listening, constantly listening to your other partners, because they're on the feet. And if you don't give any clear indications to them, then the animal just doesn't live. There are certain moments where the dog just stops and the paw will just come up very, very slightly. And it's just tiny little nuances like that. You have to commit yourself completely into the life of this thing, its intentions, its thoughts. Just finding those moments is really enjoyable for me as soon as because it's like an immediate feedback. It's like comedy. You get an immediate feedback from the audience and they immediately want to love it. And that's such a great feeling.